So this is a rarely seen underdial work of one of my Series 2s. The finishing, as you'll notice, well, what I'm very keen to do is the quality that you'll see on the back of the watch goes right the way through the piece, and the underdial work, which is here, which is usually in most watches, you'll find that it's left to a lesser sort of quality of finish and so on, for obvious reasons, because it's not seen under the dial. But for me, it's about something different. It's about the longevity of the piece and the quality of the finish and so on. And so all the underdial work, I use these gold chatons again with blued screws which hold the jewels, extensive use of gold for the cocks, and then all the steel work here has all been black polished and beveled. And again, what I'm very interested in doing is making the watches, giving them longevity and life, and I'm trying to create a piece which will be still repairable and very, very usable in many generations to come. So the another sort of feature of the watches, I mean, as a watchmaker you do look and study other types of work, and one thing that I've noticed is the click. When you're pulling the stem out into handset, what you really want is a very nice sharp click, and likewise when you push it in, again a very brisk, very snappy click. And also the actual tension as you push in the crown, you've got to feel this snappiness. And I've actually likened this, a few people have asked me about this, and it's really when you close the door of a car and you know, on a good quality car, you'll have a nice sort of a thud, a nice gentle thud with maybe a bit of a whoosh of air, and this really is the watch's version of that, and it's a sign of quality, and it's something that when people are used to handling high quality watches, this sort of snap, this is something that they expect and something that they look for. And it took a great deal of time to design these components so that we do get this very sharp, very snappy feel, and also the sound. So we have, as I say, this is a handset mechanism, intermediate handset pinion, minute wheel and cannon pinion, and then we have this black polished minute wheel cover plate here, again secured by 2 polished screws. We don't use blued screws in steel work. Again, it's just something that's very traditional. It somehow wouldn't look right. I think it's due to the colour contrast that the blue steel looks very good against a gilt background. So that's again something which is very traditional, which I'm trying to put into my watches. So we have the black polished minute wheel cover plate. This bridge here, this gold cock, this arbor is where the up and down hand sits, and acting upon it is this lever, which helps to steady the hand, and as the watch runs down, then this lever guides it down, and this is all held in position by this very long, very slender return bar spring, again, which has all been finished with this black polish, which on a component this long and this thin is very, very difficult and very time consuming to achieve. And here we have the seconds cock. This again is made of gold and is black polished, and here we have the arbor poking through with the seconds pinion underneath, and this seconds pinion is driven by this seconds drive wheel, which is mounted onto the lower pivot of the third wheel. Now, so that we don't get the seconds hand jumping due to the backlash in the gears, we have this very long curved seconds tension spring, which just gives the arbor a little bit of tension and takes out any slop that we would have in the backlash of the gearing. and so without that we would have a very jittery seconds hand. Another feature of my watches is we have down here, you can just see this sort of, if you like, this parallel section here, and this is a bush. This is made out of beryllium copper, and what I've noticed in many years of watch repairing is that as a manually wound watch gets older, the bearings for the stem here will become worn and it'll tend to move from side to side, and this causes problems with the winding mechanism and so on. So what I'm very conscious about is the longevity of these mechanisms, and so what I've done is to design a bush which is screwed into position, and basically this sort of plate here, this whole bush here, envelops the stem, and beryllium copper is a very good material because it gives very good bearing surface and is often used primarily for bearing surfaces. And the idea behind this is that should this ever wear, which I think will be very doubtful because it's such a good material, but if it does, we can replace it, and we simply undo 2 screws, remove this bush and fit a new one, and again the watch will be back to new. The integrity of the watch will be maintained without fear of destroying or damaging the plates of the mechanism. So the mechanism is, well, I suppose it's, in some respects, it's quite a simple watch. That's what I wanted when I designed the Series 2. I wanted a very simple, very usable timepiece, and I didn't want it over embellished with complications. I wanted it really simply just to tell the time with the minutes, hours and seconds, and because it's a manually wound watch, I wanted the power reserve, if you like, the petrol gauge of the watch, which enables the owner to tell when the watch needs to be wound. And so there we have it. There's the hopefully a very interesting insight into how the Series 2 mechanism came about, and certain design features that I put into the watch, and I hope it's given you a little more knowledge and interest in the Series 2 mechanism.